efforts in bringing Vietnamese back from the U.S. Campaign in Hanoi helps generate jobs for young people affected by COVID-19. Da Nang calls for over $587 million investment in industrial zones. Hello and welcome to FBNC News with the latest updates from Vietnam. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Transportation and the Vietnamese representatives in the United States are actively coordinating and supporting Vietnam allies to work with the local authorities and deal with necessary procedures to find suitable solutions in bringing citizens back to Vietnam as soon as possible. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Vietnam Airlines has not received enough licenses necessary to make the flights according to the scheduled time. Therefore, the ministry advises that citizens do not panic, strictly comply with local regulations on the pandemic prevention and control, and follow guidance of Vietnamese representatives. Vietnamese citizens can contact the embassy in the United States via numbers appeared on the screen should any assistance is needed. Nearly 10,500 people have found a job through a non-profit campaign held in Hanoi for students and young people affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The campaign was carried out from April 10th to April 30th by the Hanoi chapter of the Ho Chi Minh Communist Youth Union and other partnering organizations.
The campaign aimed to offer 10,000 jobs for students and young people whose employment is particularly vulnerable during the pandemic. Many have already lost their jobs and are struggling to make ends meet, as thousands of small and medium-sized enterprises and household businesses in Hanoi have suspended operations. It helped connect job seekers with recruiters offering seasonal and work-from-home jobs as well as other types of employment after the pandemic ends. It has so far attracted 963 recruiters and job agencies such as Siêu Việt, Vietnam Works and Freelancer Việt. As many as 17,291 candidates have now been waiting for job interviews or employment opportunities. More than 1,000 people have taken part in interviewing skills and Microsoft Excel training courses held by Canavi. In the second phase, which will take place from the 4th to the 31st of May, the Hanoi chapter of Ho Chi Minh City Communist Youth Union will cooperate with Canavi to organize more workshops at major universities across the city to provide career counseling and job matching services for fresh graduates.
According to the General Statistics Office, in the first 4 months of this year, the United States is the largest export market of Vietnam, with the total value reached more than $20 billion. Export to the United States reached $20.3 billion, up 13.4% over the same period last year. In the first 4 months of this year, total import and export turnover of the country was estimated at more than $162 billion, up 3.4% compared to the same period last year. The trade balance of goods in the first 4 months was estimated at a surplus of $3 billion. Also, in the first 4 months of this year, China was Vietnam's largest import market with an estimated turnover of $22.7 billion, down 0.1% from the same period in 2019. Iron and steel exports to Germany saw significant increases in volume and value in the first quarter of this year, statistics reported by the General Department of Vietnam Customs.
Iron and steel export volume hit 858 tons, up 17-fold, while value surged 18 times annually to $1.27 million. Vietnam's total exports to Germany, one of the country's major markets in the European Union, reached $648.61 million in March, up 24.93% month-on-month, raising the first quarter figures to $1.68 billion, up 1.87% against the same period last year. Additionally, toys and sports equipment reached $15.8 million in March, soaring 221.79%.
When the gumi factory in South Korea was affected by the COVID-19 outbreak, it was reported that Samsung had considered relocating some of its smartphone manufacturers to Vietnam. However, the company recently announced that they will put this plan on hold since the pandemic in Korea has been under control. Even though the relocation plan to Vietnam has been postponed, Samsung still has to consider shifting its production out of European countries and the United States back to Korea because the virus disease situation in these areas is still very complicated. Due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, Samsung smartphone sales have plummeted. Despite this, the company has increased its production scale by more than 50%. As predicted by experts, the smartphone market has been worsening in the second quarter, but expected to recover in the fourth quarter of this year. The Da Nang High-Tech Park and Industrial Zones Authority has offered bidding documents for preliminary selection of investors for infrastructure development of 3 industrial zones.
The head of Da Nang High-Tech Park and Industrial Zones Authority, Phạm Trường Sơn, said the international bidding will help seek eligible domestic and foreign investors for 2 new industrial zones of Hòa Nhơn, Hòa Ninh, and the second stage of Hòa Cầm industrial zones on the total area of 880 hectares, with an estimated investment capital of 13.8 trillion Vietnamese dong, equivalent to $587.3 million US. The city aims to develop high-tech and environmentally friendly industries in 2020 to 2023. The bidding of the 3 projects will open for all qualified investors on May 28, and the winners would commence construction later this year. To date, the Da Nang High-Tech Park and 6 other industrial zones have drawn 505 projects worth $2.6 billion US. These projects earned revenue of 35.6 trillion Vietnamese dong, equivalent to $1.51 billion US in 2019, contributing $213 million US to the local budget.
The Ho Chi Minh City Administration has ordered a city committee for disaster prevention and rescue and local authorities to assess 300 sites that might face a high risk of landslides and floods in case of heavy rains and storms. Experts have warned about worsening weather conditions, particularly prolonged droughts and heat waves, while natural disasters are expected to occur more frequently.
Deputy Chairman of the city's People's Committee Lê Thanh Liêm has asked the steering committees for disaster prevention and rescue in a recent online meeting to review work last year and make plans for this year to prevent forest fires and mitigate the impacts of natural disasters. In recent years, the climate in the city and its surrounding areas has become unpredictable. All preparations have to be completed before the rainy season begins. In detail, the steering committee had been tasked with coordinating with the management of Dầu Tiếng Lake in Đồng Nai province to plan water discharge. The Department of Transport needed to step up oversight to ensure safety at ports and ferries. Authorities in districts 9, Củ Chi, Bình Chánh and Cần Giờ needed to focus on forest management and fire prevention. Last year, there were 17 fires involving grass and other vegetation in the city in a total area of more than 42 hectares. But there were no forest fires. The fires were contained since they were detected and handled in a timely manner. There were 3 landslides, 2 storms, and 6 instances of high tides. Fortunately, there have been no fatalities reported.
The Vietnam futsal team have risen 1 position to rank 44th in the latest FIFA rankings. In Asia, Vietnam is currently at 9th position, while Iran, Japan and Thailand topped the continental rankings. In the world, Brazil took the lead, followed by Spain and Argentina.
The Vietnam futsal team have risen 1 position to rank 44th in the latest FIFA rankings. And this achievement will create more excitement for the Vietnamese team before the final round of the AFC Futsal Championship 2020 in August. The AFC Futsal Championship will also serve as a qualification event for the FIFA Futsal World Cup 2020. with the 5 best teams in Asia set to earn a place to compete at the upcoming global competition in Lithuania. Vietnam aims to earn a ticket to qualify for the World Cup.
That has been FBNC News today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay safe and goodbye.